Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sandwich Commission on Disability meeting. I'm sorry, one moment. I'm going to start the recording, which we will discuss in a moment.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sandwich Commission on Disability meeting. This meeting will be recorded and provided to Sandwich Community TV for future viewing. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today is July 2nd at 5:02 p.m. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with state laws and regulations, most recently Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Act of 2021. This meeting will be available on demand tomorrow on their website, assuming I can get everything over in time. In addition being, all right, and we will begin with roll call. Lisa Judelson.
Present.
Alexander Beaudry. Not see her. Joseph Sonia, that is myself. I am present. Shonda DeSanti.
Present.
Julia Wright.
Present.
Thank you. Kelly Trapasso.
Present.
Thank you. Janine Cullen. Don't see her. Tom Jellison.
Present.
Thank you. Meg, I just want to confirm, have you been sworn in or not?
I have not.
Okay, so we'll skip you for now. Joanne Lepers. Do not see. Okay, we do have our 6. Tom, can you do the honors with our flag? Thank you.
I'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lisa. And I think you wanted us to defer the minutes for just a moment and go to our first item of business, which is Chief Burke.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. I won't take up too much of your time. I just wanted to give you an update. I was at the last meeting. 2 things. The hazardous materials plan for the town, we are still tweaking. We'll be sending another draft copy out for you folks to take a look at it. You would expect to receive that within the next 10 days. We're just going to work. Obviously, this week is a little busy for us. Next week, we're going to do a couple of slight adjustments, and then we'll send draft copies out to all members. You can take a look at it, provide feedback. The second thing I reported on, the drive and drop medication event that we did on Friday, June 13th here at the station. So just to summarize, we took in 718 bottles of prescription and over-the-counter medication in 3 hours.
Wow.
It was way more than we thought. It was fairly limited advertisement. We did a little bit of Facebook. We didn't go too hard in the advertising department, but we definitely feel and know there's a need in the community out there. So we're going to be doing a couple more. But 718 bottles. We had, I think it was 35 or 40 opioid prescriptions that we were able to take in and remediate. Overall was great. People could just drive up. They didn't have to get out of their car. So we're very pleased. We're going to be pursuing that more, and we're going to increase the messaging on that. But again, for our first time, we wanted to be very careful, kind of see what the need is. We've figured it out now. It's significant. And working with the water district and the health department, we're going to at least try to do 2 more for people in the community. It was definitely just one quick anecdote. We had a guy who had, I think, 14 years worth of medication. He didn't know what to do with it. He saw this event was happening, and he literally brought us like 78 pill containers and thanked us profusely. So with that being said, we feel very strongly that there's a need. The other thing we're looking to expand is senior housing. We're actually going to go to senior housing and do collections in their community rooms. That's going to be secondary to a couple more of the drive up. So I just want to mention that went well. Thank you to everybody on the COD who provided input on some of the messaging. At the last meeting, we were able to carry that forward, so that was great. The final thing I want to mention, on July 30th, we are doing a hurricane messaging drill with all of our partners, cable access TV, social media. I'm going to go through Lisa and ask, but if there's members of the committee that would like to be message recipients as we practice the distribution and the mediums to get the messaging out, I would appreciate that. It would be a phone, text, it would be a robo phone call, it might be an email. But if we have members that are willing to loosely participate and provide us feedback on what they've received. We just want to make sure our messaging is on point for mass distribution to everybody in the community. We've kind of talked about this, and it is part of our hazard mitigation plan. So there'll be some more details coming out. It's not like we need everybody to meet. It's if there's members of the COD that would like to participate, I'm going to go through Lisa. I'll get your information. You'll get some stuff ahead of time as to what to expect, but it's literally just, did you get a message from the town? Were you able to understand it? Did it make sense? And then if we need to make adjustments, we're going to do that. So that is on Wednesday, July 30th, between 9 and 10 a.m. We're going to do that. So if there's no objections from the group, and Lisa, you're okay with being the point of contact, I will push that out another week or so to see if we can get some participants here from the COD to actually receive messages. We have other people lined up too, but I'm trying to expand the base of participants so we get a good cross section of what the messaging is going to look like and how it's received on the other end.
Sure,
So-
I'd be happy to participate, and I will collect any names of anybody else who would like to do that and get them
Excellent.
to you.
Yeah, so if you have interest, if you just want to let Lisa know, I would just need a cell phone number, your carrier, if you're Verizon, AT&T, whatever, and then an email if you want to participate that way. I'll coordinate with Lisa, and then, like I said, I'll get you, I'll kind of get you a message ahead of time as to what to expect. But July 30th will be the date from 9 to 10 a.m. Other than that, if anybody has any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you. That is amazing about the medication take back. And when you said you're going to do 2 more, you mean 2 more this year, or
Yes.
and then
Oh, yeah.
you'll keep doing them? I mean, clearly there's a need.
We're thinking seasonally, so you do want, obviously we're not, the winter, we won't do anything, but like fall, summer, spring, I think the location here at the station, the roadway between the police and fire off Katuitt Road, is centrally located. We had our little tent set up. Yeah, it went very, I don't get overwhelmed too often. I was just overwhelmed with the volume in such a short amount of time. And I'm like, if we heavily advertise this, we would have a significant number. And it's just good to see that people were disposing of it the right way. We were able to handle it and just to validate the need is there, and we're going to continue to do it.
It's impressive. Thank you.
Do you think that because this hasn't been done before, that right now you'll have more, and over time, because people will be doing this, it'll be less and less?
That's what we're looking to study, right? So I think the next one will be probably as significant. And then subsequent ones after that, if we start to see the numbers go down, it meant we've made a dent in the storage of what people have been hoarding or keeping, trying to figure out how to dispose of it. So the numbers should go down. The other thing is the company that sponsored it with us, Dispose RX, which has the little packets. You can do this at your house. You can just take the packet, empty it into your prescription med, add some water, shake it up, and it inerts it. You can just throw it in the trash. We may look at that campaign also of handing out the packets, and people can handle it themselves and not even have to drive up and dispose of it. So there's a couple of different things that we're gonna play with it. But again, the final analysis was it's an issue. It's one that we can address, and we're going to try to be strategic about it. Like I said, 3 drive and drops a year, and then target senior housing, go there, and then see what kind of see what the results look like a year from now. We're seeing a decrease in the request.
And it was for the intention for water quality, correct?
Correct. Yep. So we don't want people flushing medications down the toilet or just throwing it in the trash untreated. You know, they used to say put it in coffee grinds and then throw it in the trash to try to inert the medication. We want to make sure that if people have it, that we can help them dispose of it properly, that's environmentally friendly, and it doesn't impact inadvertently or adversely the water quality, or because we are municipal water, we want to make sure that we're we're trying to be conscious of that. So overall, it was I don't want to say it was a great day, but it was a good day to see kind of what's out there and then what our plans will be moving forward.
I think the education component as well, just telling people what they are supposed to do with medication, because I think there's a lot of wondering about what you're supposed to flush it, but then you're not supposed to because of the water quality. So
Yep.
I think people just don't know. And if you're just saying, we'll take it for you, it makes it easy. And especially if you're doing it regularly, people will then know, oh, I can just save it until the next pickup.
Yep. And people were so appreciative. It was good to get the feedback from people too, to be like, this is great. I'm just heading to Stop and Shop. I'm swinging by here, dropping off my meds. I know they're being taken care of, and then moving on with their, with their day. So it was good validation for us, definitely.
Would you ever consider, I mean, this would probably be rare, if someone couldn't drive or couldn't get there, picking up the medication?
Yep. So we are actually looking at that, and we put in some grant money under our Senior Safe program, where we just need a mechanism for people to either request it, and then we would put it on the docket for somebody to go to the house. And what we would probably do is bring the packets with us and inert it right in the house and throw it right in their trash for them. But that is 100% on the table. I think the next step of this is to go, those that are homebound or truly can't leave their homes, that we have an option available. We can go and take care of it that way. So it's definitely,
Yeah, that'd be great.
definitely.
Can you use the 311 app, or would it be too much?
We could. I'm almost looking at like the fire department or town website, a separate thing where they can just plug their name in. I'm conscious about people's information, like just being out there. So yeah, I think I want to put a little more thought into how we do it. But the 311 could definitely be a potential option, at least to start.
Because I'm thinking of some people, seniors or people with impairments that might not have the app or be able to use the app.
Yep.
That would just maybe want to call in, but.
And we have, so Susan Morancic at the Center for Active Living is involved in the program with us. So that was one of the things that we were talking about. Is that a phone call to the CAL or Senior Services to get on a list? And then that way the information's tightly controlled, shared with us. We go out and take care of it.
That's good.
So we have a couple options, but I think the good news is we know there's a need now, and we have several ways we can try to attack the issue and provide the best service for people.
Thank you so much, JJ.
Nope. Thank you, guys. There's no other questions. If you don't mind, I will I'm going to duck out now, but I will probably be back for the next meeting to keep providing updates on where we're at. I think it's important. Even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, just to let you know where we're at with some of these programs. I like to keep people informed and as to the progress. So I'll work with Lisa on that, but if there's no objections, I wouldn't mind giving some brief report outs at subsequent meetings.
Put you on the agenda.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, everybody.
Happy 4th of July.
Have a good one. Thanks.
All right. Do we want to go back and approve the, well, does anybody have any other questions? Comments?
Do we want to do the guests first? Because I know Ian is here too.
Yes, that would be great. Actually, why don't we get to that? So we have Ian Reed, who's the building commissioner, and we have Emily, and I'm apologize for not remembering your last name, but from the Waldorf School. So I don't know which of you would prefer to go first to discuss the variance requested.
Do you want to go first, Emily?
Whatever makes the most sense.
You were at the meeting on Monday, I believe, was it?
Yes, also with us is Tom Hill. He was at the meeting. He's the president of our board. And I'm actually away this week. So I was not at that meeting, but I'm definitely at this one. So between Tom and I, we hopefully have all the answers that you'll need. Would you like us to present our idea or?
Yes, why don't you present the variance and then also what happened in your meeting on Monday?
Okay. At the Waldorf School, as you may know, we purchased the building in late 2019, and we have been turning it into a little school. We have expanded a little bit. So we've been needing classrooms each year, and we need one more classroom for the next school year. So our thought was to renovate our basement, because we have a very large basement space, to create some storage area, additional classroom, and additional bathroom. So we have a budget for the project, which is worked out to be about $95,000 to $100,000 without the platform lift. And with including the platform lift would be about another $45,000 to $50,000. So we are applying for a variance in order to not install the platform lift. Just we have so many other alternative classroom spaces that are all accessible. So also we feel the cost is out of scale of the renovation. And
Hey,
Tom-
Ian,
Yeah.
do you have the criteria for giving a variance?
The variance is my understanding is it's through the Architectural Access Board. So I spoke with Brendan Brides. I should introduce myself. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Ian Reid, Building Commissioner. I spoke with Brendan. There's no real procedure. The applicant can apply to the Architectural Access Board for a variance. I've reached out to William Joyce, who is the executive director. I sent him an email yesterday just to try and, on issues like this, if we could get notification, or because it was a bit of confusion on Monday, because I seen that I was invited to this meeting on Wednesday, and then I realized that the variance was actually with the Architectural Access Board was on Monday. So I was just trying to join the dots and figure out what was going on. So I've reached out to him. I haven't heard anything back as of yet, and I haven't had any update on how the variance application went on Monday.
So it was continued on Monday, and Tom knows a bit more, but it sounds as though maybe they weren't fully prepared to make a decision. Maybe they hadn't fully read the application. So they continued it to have more time to prepare themselves. I think one person was ready to make a motion. I don't know, Tom, how many people were on the board of?
Like 6. I think there were 6 or 7 on the board. And during the entire process or the discussion on Monday, there was really no objections to what we were proposing. They realized that what our proposal is based on a process rather than a piece of machinery. As Emily mentioned, we have every classroom is obviously accessible. And so the idea is that if there were to be someone who had accessibility challenges, the school every year changes up the classrooms based on the composition of each classroom. So if there were somebody who needed that type of access, we have 8 classrooms that we can have that class go to. And I think as a policy, it's not a formal policy, but in our board discussions, we just have really agreed that we would probably never put someone with that type of need in a basement purely out of safety.
What's the only way just to get down by stairs?
Yeah, it's to get down by stairs, and it's to a classroom, and there's no general purpose down there, which is another of the questions that the discussion on Monday covered. It is just a classroom. There's no like band practice, or there's nothing down there that's general purpose. It's really classroom specific, and there would be nothing down there that would be exclusive to somebody who had an accessibility challenge. So I think, as I said, there was no objections to it. And the continuance was based on confusion, really. I think there's going to be, I haven't received anything from them. Emily, maybe you have?
No, I haven't.
The real stopper was the drawing of the basement didn't identify clearly enough for one of the members to show exactly where the classroom started and ended, and where the storage started and ended and where the open space started and ended. I think that was the main sticking point. So I thought that they were really overall very positive about the proposal, because from our point of view, it is a process that can support anybody. And we can change our classrooms at any point in time, even during the year. I mean, it's not that we wouldn't want to do that, but every summer, Emily is leading a team going through it right now on which classroom is going to be containing which grade. And if there were somebody with that challenge, we would certainly accommodate them in a upstairs bathroom, classroom, and not in a basement classroom. So that was the extent of it. The rest of it, they got off a little out of scope where they were looking at other parts of the property, because they didn't understand the scope of what we were appealing for. The variance is very limited to the lift itself. There's no other variance we're looking for because the building is 100% ADA compliant, according to our records. I mean, I wasn't there when it was made ADA compliant. Emily was, and I believe that was clear in the application, but I don't think it was picked up on well enough by the team on Monday. So I think they'll probably ask that question as well. I was not allowed to speak at that meeting, so I couldn't have answered these questions then. Had I been able to, I think they would have said, okay, we got it. We'll find those things in the document, and it'd probably be approved, is my opinion.
Can I read
Is there
something
any,
from-
oh, sorry, you go ahead, Meg.
So there are two reasons why the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board would give a variance. Please let me know if I'm wrong, Ian. So one is compliance is technologically unfeasible, which means you can't. The other one is cost effective without any substantial benefit to persons with disability. Unlike the first one, and I'm just reading this, the test is for cases where compliance is technically possible, but undesirable for some reason or another. For this test, you must show that both the cost of compliance is excessive and that compliance would not result in substantial benefit to persons with disabilities. It's not enough to show that one or the other, you must show both elements to prevail. So cost would be excessive. It tends to be relative to the determination dependent on the context of circumstances for the project. Example, for a project that's $10,000, an excessive cost for context would be $12,000. Project may look very different in the context of, $120 million project. Proving excessive cost almost always requires a provision for cost estimate for the work, and that you're arguing it's excessively costly. It is difficult to impossible for the board to judge whether the cost is excessive without knowing what the cost is. Then the benefit part, which is the second part of this, and again, both of these have to be able to be proved, is that it's important to emphasize that the requirement is to show that compliance would not result in any substantial benefit to person with disabilities. Whether something is substantial benefit is a determination to be made by the board, as it is often dependent on individual facts of the situation. As such, there's no general rule to use. So the use of good judgment is required. Additionally, it is often beneficial to consult groups consisting of persons with disabilities. That would be, and they specifically mentioned us. So I think, can you explain to me again how the downstairs basement, not allowing people with, that are possibly in a wheelchair to ever be able to access the bottom of the basement or that area? I mean, that could be children, that could also be employees. So employees would not be able to go down there as well. I know that this was an issue at the wing school. The wing school never had a second floor accessible. So I just want to understand what is in the basement that someone, either a student or an employee, would not need to access that could also be on the top floor. So like
Or
we've
even,
dealt with
or
this.
Meg, even family members, I'm thinking, who might visit the
Yep.
school.
Yep. So and employees. So this is not just students.
Mhm.
So if you have a storage room down there, or like a second bathroom or whatnot, that would have to, like, it's not, again, not just students. So
Yep.
could you speak to that?
Yes. Well, the only possible place for the lift to go in the school is in our faculty room. And so that would actually reduce our faculty room, which is something that our employees have really been wanting. So everything is on the accessible ground floor. Bathrooms, kitchen, faculty space, and the majority of our classrooms.
So what again is going to be in this additional space?
We have an unfinished storage area for buildings and grounds maintenance storage. We have additional bathroom and one additional classroom.
And the storage, is that the things you're going to be storing there, is that able to be stored somewhere else? So you're talking about ground stuff?
Tools, paint, things we don't really want the children to access. But we could have a shed outside as well. We do have another storage shed outside that we can also store those things in.
In the long term, do you think you would ever put a lift in? Like, is that maybe part of the plan down the road?
I don't ever see the basement really being the focus of our school. We are hoping to build one more classroom outside, which would be classroom and bathroom space. This basement plan is actually honestly a temporary holdover part of our strategic plan until we can raise the funds to have the outdoor class or one last building outside. And then, the basement could continue to be storage, and it's just the needs for next year, for the next 2 years probably, are one more classroom space to fit our little school.
Hi, this is Alex speaking. So I just, for a little bit of clarification, thank you for, clarifying some of those questions that Meg and Kelly had. So my question for you is, I hear that what you're saying is that staff would not necessarily have to access the space unless it was their classroom, is what it sounds like, and that students would be assigned to that classroom with forethought. I understand, but my question is, as a parent, I'm not totally I've never been inside of your school, but what about parents being able to access their children's classroom? So that's, I guess, or family members, other adults, for events that may go on, or even, I assume you have like an open house. So that is a concern, I guess, that comes up for me, is how are those family members going to have access to their child's classroom?
Okay. What if we didn't have any events down there and we just had events upstairs or outside?
Which is what we do.
Yeah, I think it's just hard though. Like, how would you find out, it's just a tough situation, I think, to navigate. I don't know. It would be sad to say, oh, you couldn't see your kid's classroom, for example.
Yeah, no, I absolutely hear you. I think we're trying to balance the strategic plans of the school with how to get towards those steps. Right now, the cost of the renovation is looking to be about $100,000. With the lift, it's probably more like $50,000, and not happening before school starts in September, which affects the school schedule. So we're just trying to navigate summer tricky
Ian,
school.
is there a temporary way that you can provide something temporarily that like the Brendan would talk about like an occupancy thing and it would be a temporary?
There's always an option of temporary occupancy, but in this case situation, I don't see a reason why there would be temporary. I think the lift would either get a variance or not, and then it wouldn't be a temporary on the condition that they wanted to put in the lift later. But if that was presented, I would definitely look at it and see what the parameters are for that.
So the solution that I'm thinking is if they're using this temporarily, you could give them a temporary, like without having the lift, you could give them the temporary to use that space, but that then would expire in hopes that they would get the accessible classroom that they need going further. Do you see what I'm saying? So you wouldn't allow for it,
temporary occupancy wouldn't like I imagine that it would probably go a year where they'd want to use the classroom during the school year, and that's a pretty excessive length of time for a temporary occupancy. Temporary is usually weeks rather than months, kind of a thing like that. So
yeah, I know that is tradition, but is there a law or something specifically says that it can't be for one school year?
No, there wouldn't be, but a project this size would probably be either a permanent or, it more likely would be a permanent occupancy. This is a pretty, they got a lot more going on with restrooms and walls and structural stuff. So I think a temporary, in order to get the accessible lift installed would be a bit of a stretch. So it would either...
No, not to have it installed temporarily, to not have it installed temporarily. Do you see what I'm saying? You could say, yeah, you can make all this building. You're allowed to have people in that area for X amount of time, and aligning with their strategic plan to have classrooms outside.
Mhm.
And do you see what I'm saying? So it's not to put
Yeah.
the lift in, it's to give them, to allow for that, because what that would be was it hold them accountable to not using that space or using it.
Yeah,
or using it.
I don't think the building code would allow you to stretch it that far out, that you're only given a temporary for that length of time and then taking it away, that they're not going to. Temporary is usually given for a situation that what they propose is eventually going to happen. It's not to give it for a temporary period of time where then you take it away. It's to get to the end what they're proposing. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So from what Ian is saying is that space, it has to be accessible, right? And you have to be able to get people with disabilities down there, whether it's employees or kids or whatnot. And so if you plan to use the space for, I heard you say you plan to use it temporarily, you could then move that space out. If you're looking for a permanent space, it would need a permanent accessible solution. Because if you change the use of that space, if you decide to make more classrooms down there, you're going to have to revamp your whole thing in order to do that, right? If you decide to expand underneath. But if it's not thinking about being temporary, do you see what I'm saying? So if you're making a permanent new space, you'd have to make it accessible. Because if you say you're only going to put one bathroom down there and one classroom and maybe some storage, and then you end up expanding that later, you're going to be back in front of us again, and you're going to have to put the lift in anyway. But if you're doing it,
Yeah. So I think we're applying for the variance because the lift feels out of scale with the school and with the budget of the basement renovation. I understand. I mean, it will be accessible everything will be to code downstairs, would be to code downstairs. If there was
you guys are a nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there might be funding available to you to help fund that type of stuff. Have you looked into any of that?
No, I haven't been able to find anything.
Have you reached out to the Massachusetts Office on Disability?
No.
I would reach out to them to see what nonprofit support that they have. I'm also happy to use my networking to see if I can find something that will help your school be able to provide accessibility to everyone that comes to there by putting this in. So I'll be happy to reach out, but I would start with that, you know, having it to be accessible to everyone, especially being a school, is extremely important. Like I'm not trying to be here to say no and be a, you know, play hardball or whatever. I'm happy to find a solution for you. I'm sure other people would be here to happy to help you to do that, but I would encourage you to make your school accessible. And as you are building more and expanding more, if you wanted some ideas or things or finding funding so that your school is more accessible, there are ways for you to be able to find funding for those specific things, and we'd be happy to point you in that direction.
Well, I appreciate that help. Thank you. Yes, I would. We certainly would. I mean, we, you know, definitely care about accessibility, and that our entire school is accessible. And we definitely understand the importance. We are looking at this project this summer and how to meet the needs of the school and the many people in it currently right now, trying to figure out the best way to make that work for September. It's hard.
It sure is. And, you know, it's not, I'm not saying this as a general statement, but a lot of times accessibility comes in at last minute, and it does take a lot of more strategic planning around that with universal design and whatnot. And I'm not sure if making this approval for you would set you up for success, because it may end up you having spending more money in the end. You know, the building, the MAB, the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board, is really who's qualified to make that decision. But I would loop us in on what you're doing within your school so that we can plan ahead instead of doing it like this. And then if they don't approve it, you know, having a hindrance to your school, because that's not what we want. We want to make sure that we're proactive.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so with our construction schedule and with just the ordering of the lift and everything, it won't be possible to open in September with doing the lift as well. It's made in Canada and they close for 2 weeks of the summer. And I wonder, you know, if this is the requirement, if there's a way to get a temporary variance that can allow us at least more time to fundraise and to order and install the lift.
I do believe that's on the website. So they have part of this. There's different types. You can do a timed or temporary relief. You can do a modified relief or a full relief. I'm happy to drop the link to what those requirements are in the chat so you can see them. So you, were you looking for a timed or temporary relief? Were you looking for modified? Were you looking for full? Was it full relief you were looking for?
I'm looking for full relief. Yeah.
I'm not sure that, me personally, but.
Sorry, I think the what was read earlier about being able to prove that the cost outweighs the benefit, and also what is the overall benefit to somebody with a disability. That's where we felt, and with talking with the people at the Architectural Access Board, that's where we felt like we might have a case here, because they say often they're working with preschools and daycares and small schools where they'll be in a smaller building where the mechanics and the annual upkeep of a lift that would go unused seems to outweigh the benefit.
Ian, do you have any comments from an ADA perspective? No.
I do have a set of plans here, and obviously it's in a basement, and it's very if the lift isn't there, it's probably just no accessibility at all. And I do agree with the architectural access board. It's there seemed to be a problem with the labeling of what's going to be in the basement. The plan I'm looking at doesn't show a classroom at all. It just shows unfinished space, a kitchenette. So it's a bit of a disconnect from what's being presented and what the plan shows. But yeah, I think the ADA, the lift would definitely be the option for accessibility.
Yep, and I think that I think what I hear from what Ian's saying and what from you guys reported is that there isn't a classroom on there, but if there is a classroom, that's going to make a huge difference. If you're going to start using that for more than storage space, then you're going to need to provide access.
I wish there was a middle ground between a lift and nothing. Like for a small nonprofit like us with a very limited budget, it's really
so it's usually an elevator and the lift is the middle ground.
I know.
So
yeah, and then you run into what if someone gets injured, like an employee, like how would they get to the classroom is something I'm thinking about, you know?
So I'm wondering if you might want to reconsider and ask for timed relief. Ian, you probably understand that more, but if you're going to need to put it in, you might just want to ask for time.
As a construction aspect, I understand there may be a delay in ordering the lift, but you still have to do the construction around it and things like that. So if it was you know, the lift construction would have to be done, the electrical wiring, whatever, that would all have to be done. And then, you know, obviously again, getting back to the temporary occupancy, if there was an order in place for a lift and things like that, we could definitely work with something of a temporary occupancy until the lift is delivered. That's something that a temporary occupancy is made for. That's what we use it for things like that, where there's a time delay with getting parts or machinery or components for the construction. So yeah, that would be a possibility.
Okay.
So what I hear you saying is that they could do the other construction and get a time relief for getting the lift in. Is that correct?
Yeah, if they, like, as I said, there's a lot of construction goes into the lift itself without the actual lift being present. And if there was an order that they could show that the lift has been ordered and things like that, then I could give a time limit to temporary occupancy until the lift is delivered and installed. There's also, I believe, the state inspectors inspect the lift as well. So all of that could come into play, and we would definitely do our best to work with the time scale on that. And I think it's been mentioned before, the school has been expanding, and it's probably long term. I know you're saying you're talking about expanding outside, but it may come a few years down the road. You want to move back into the basement, and it might be planning for the future to have the lift installed, even if it's not going to be a classroom forever, but it may come back to be used as one again. So
yeah, and it will probably cost you more to do it later.
Usually works that way.
So putting it in now may cost you less in the long run.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
My only question would be, is there any action that we as a commission need to take in this regard? I wasn't sure on that. I know we act in an advisory capacity. I wasn't sure what that looks like in this particular scenario.
The Massachusetts Architectural Access Board is looking for correspondence from us to say if we feel like they should not have to have a lift.
Is it only if there is a letter in support, or do we need to do a correspondence regardless?
Why they're here is because the MAB wants to have a letter from us. Yes.
Okay.
We are the voices for the people with disabilities in Sandwich, and they want our voice to be present in writing unless somebody wants to go there and talk at the meeting about it.
Okay. Does that sound accurate, Emily and Thomas?
Well,
I
that part
don't
of the
know.
process has not been explained to us,
Okay.
so I don't know.
Meg, was that given to us somewhere? I haven't seen it in the emails, and maybe I just missed it.
So usually Dom was the one that gets the stuff from the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board, but the way that this used to work is Brendan would get it. He would bring it to either the school would bring it to us. The Access Board requests our input on any variance. It's usually coordinated by the ADA coordinator. Ian's new. He's like getting his feet wet and getting this, everything together and super busy. All the ADU stuff going on, it is what it is. But I think that one of the things that we should have is an actual process, and we should make sure that the Architectural Access Board has the correct information to send us the things, and then we should have a policy where we coordinate with the ADA coordinator, so any variance is brought here so that it's not last minute and not putting it off.
So just to follow up on that, Ian Reid again. I did speak to Brendan about this to find the process. I think it was, as I said earlier, there was no contact from the Architectural Access Board at all, and I have access to Brendan's emails since he retired. They never contacted the building department in any way. He said that has happened before, and that's why I reached out to Andrew Joyce. I emailed him yesterday, so we do have going forward that we're made aware and we can coordinate a bit better. As I said, I've gone back through the emails. The only email I got was actually from Emily to say that the meeting, there was a meeting and I wasn't sure if it was this meeting or the Architectural Access Board that was being mentioned. So I hope that Andrew can get back, or sorry, William can get back to me, and we can get some direct, anytime this comes up, that we're informed, and I can in turn inform the commission going forward.
Thank you so much, Ian.
No
we
problem.
appreciate that effort.
Can you keep us in the loop about how that ends up resolving?
Yeah, I'm hoping to contact, like I said, I've had no correspondence from the Architectural Access Board on this issue at all. Even I reached out with an email yesterday, so as soon as I get something back, I'll definitely follow up with the commission. And as I said, Brendan said this has happened in the past, so we try to want to eliminate this, and so we're aware of these things and not have them sprung on us at last minute.
Yeah, I want to make sure we have adequate time to review everything and provide an appropriate response. So it sounds like.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I would say it sounds like for right now, we don't have anything official, but we'll need to follow up on this on our next meeting. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, if someone to bring a motion, I can't do that. I'm happy to state the motion if somebody wants to then make it.
I think it comes down to is, Ian, do you need anything from us as a result of this meeting, or do you still need to get stuff from the Architectural Board before you reach out to us for comment or whatnot?
I believe Emily stated that there was continuance, so I would like to get some information from the Architectural Access Board to see when it's continued until what date. And we can maybe, I'm not familiar with the process, but make sure that you're able to get the letter or have another meeting before the next Architectural Access Board meeting, so you're prepared and do it. So that's, I'm going to try.
You're talking about stuff in the future.
Well, I think there was a continuance of the variance last Monday, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So
when is it continued to?
That's right.
We don't know.
We don't know. They haven't followed up at all, so we're not sure.
So they're going to be looking. Sorry, they're going to be looking for correspondence from us.
Before they set the continuance date?
Yes.
So that's what I was saying. I'd reach out to them. I'm going to reach out to them and see, can I get the date so I can inform you and you can organize your meeting or letter prior to the next Architectural Access Board meeting.
In the past, when we have done a letter, we then have a meeting to vote on it as a group before it's sent out. So
this is all this is we're for it or not. So we are
And
for the variance or we're not for the variance.
since we have a lot of the information already, I think, if Ian's able to get us, the proposal and the information that we need, I can draft something that we would be able to review on the next meeting based off the information we have today. Of course, if that changes, that may change our response if you guys change anything there. Just want to make sure logistically everyone knows their expectations so we can make sure that there aren't any, administrative delays.
This is Chanda. I just want to say that I kind of would be interested to have Ian reach out to the Architectural Access Board to see if they have any information to give us before we move forward with any kind of decisions, if that makes sense.
I think it does.
I'll reach out to them. I think they basically rely on you, my understanding of it is, but I will try and clarify all of that. As I said, I'm relatively new, but Brendan has been very helpful in all of this. And but I will, any information I get, I'll definitely pass on to the chair. And hopefully, the biggest thing is not to have your meetings and your letter after the variance is already given, and that's what I was afraid of might happen this week with the meeting on Monday and then this meeting today, obviously. So I'll try to want to avoid that at all costs, so that they get the full information up at the Architectural Access Board from the Commission.
Do you know how often they meet?
I believe it's once a month. I'm on their website right now, and they have no scheduled meetings coming up. But again,
when was their last meeting?
It was Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
What's the number day? I'm sorry.
So it was on June 30th, the 30th of June.
So then probably July 30th would be their next meeting.
They had one on June 30th and they had one on June 16th, so it might be bi-weekly.
Yeah, I think it is every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and they had one.
So
on
that
the
would
second.
give us, so if they have it at the next meeting, that would be 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'd anticipate that.
That would be prior to our, even if they had it the meeting after that, it would still be prior to our meeting. So we may want to make a motion to ask them to wait until our next meeting, but I think that's ridiculous on behalf of the school. They wouldn't want that, to put that off farther, unless they do.
We would be able to meet, we could call a meeting to specifically just discuss this and vote and then send our response.
I think what would be beneficial is if we were able to get a copy of the variance. I'm sure you guys have one. Do you have our email?
Emily did send me there was the PDF. I will say I wasn't able to open it because it wasn't accessible. But I would not have been able to, I'm blind, so I would not have been able to see the description, the photo or the drawing of the request. But there were even any of the writing, it was the PDF wasn't accessible to my screen reader, but I can forward that to the rest of the commission.
Yeah, if you forward that to the primary email, I'll see if I can make it accessible with the tools I have available.
It is in the primary email.
I don't. Okay, I'll look for it
Yeah.
later. I don't see it right now, but I can look for it
Okay.
later.
So what information are we waiting for?
Joe's going to send everyone out a copy of the variance so we can all look at it. And Ian is going to just reach out to the Architectural Access Board, just check in with them. Because one of my big questions is that if they're waiting to hear from us, why didn't they reach out to us in any way, I guess? Like, do they have some sort of information that we don't have?
So the reason why they don't reach out to us is usually commission on disability. People don't have commissions on disability or they don't give any response.
So Ian, if you can reach out to them and then get back to us, and we, in the meantime, will look at the variance and, I'm just wondering if we will call another meeting to discuss, or if we will call another meeting when a, an opinion would be drafted and then voted on to then send, I guess is what, will we wait to do that until we've met again and then we'd meet again to approve it? Or would we try and do all of that in one
So
meeting?
usually it's just, I don't know, I'm just confused about what information more that we need. Because, I mean, in the past, when Brendan has done the stuff with the lift, like, you can't have something that's not accessible. He usually just comes out and says that. I don't know if Ian feels like, if you agree with that, like, if he said that, Ian said that, he just didn't say it directly. Am I right, Ian? Am I?
Yeah, my interpretation is it's wouldn't be accessible without the lift.
Right. So the school in Sandwich would not be accessible without the lift. So we can kick this down the road as far as you want, but it's either a lift or no lift, because that's what they're asking for. That's why I said if they wanted to change their variance for a time related thing, that would be something that we could discuss more information, but they went with the all or nothing choice. So the school basement, which it's what Ian has explained, is going to not be temporary, because there's bathroom and such down there, that it would not be accessible. So in your opinion, as a building commissioner, because this is usually what we look for, would you think the only way for the basement to be accessible to people with disabilities would be with a lift? Is that correct?
The way the project is presented, that's my reading, that the only way that it would be accessible is with a lift, that area in the basement.
So I'm not sure if we do we need more information to understand if they need to put in a lift or not? I don't think there's anything that's going to change unless they change their variance, which they'd have to submit a completely different variance for a time one. They would have to withdraw the one that they have. Isn't that correct, Ian?
I believe that would be, that's the only thing that I would be discussing with the Architectural Access Board, is the process of this. But I think you're right in stating that they probably would have to resubmit.
They would have to, right. They would have to pull this one and say they don't want this, and they would have to submit a different one. And therefore that we would go through this process again. So all of the Architectural Access Board is looking from us, not from Ian, not from anyone else, as people speaking for people with disabilities. Are we okay with the basement of a school in Sandwich not being accessible without a lift? Does anybody feel like they can't answer that today?
Could I ask a question? Are there any precedents in Sandwich for daycares or preschools or schools that have access that don't have a lift down to a basement that you know of?
No, Brendan would never allow for that.
I see what you're saying, Meg. I couldn't support it how it is now.
Right.
So Meg, I also agree that, like, while I think I am open to if it was a different variance being applied for, then I think the conversation would be different. But I think with what is being presented, which is pretty clear cut, it's not just a basement, it's a classroom.
Yes, it is a classroom.
I don't think that there's all that much to really continue on, except for say, hey,
correct,
this is an alternative for you. Maybe you should go back and try this, and then we can have that conversation.
That is correct. Right. Which is what and we can add that. So you can say in the letter that, we want them to have a lift, and we know that they have some barriers around that. We're willing to revisit a different type of variance, but not having a lift at all is not an option. And if anybody, we would just say, somebody would make a motion for us to send a letter that says something to that effect, and then we would vote on it and be done with this.
I also think, Meg, just to be respectful of the school, because we're not here to be like bad guys and not be like, no, you can't, is the timeline for them. The quicker that we can get that response, and then at the next meeting, the architect, they can then move it forward, or they can put in a new request for a different variance. I think just waiting and waiting is not helping anyone. Like, if I know that there's a timeline here.
Yeah, because if we keep kicking this down the road to approve or not approve this, it's going to take you longer to get done what you're asking to get done. We're absolutely willing to give you whatever resources and things that we can to help make your school accessible and get it open on time. We're not, but we are here to speak for the people that have disabilities in this community, and you're a school that has a classroom that needs to be accessed by everyone. Would someone like to make a motion? Because I can't today.
I will make a motion that we compose a letter explaining that we are, let's see, we would, that we are not, I'm not sure how to word it for the,
I can give it a quick try, Lisa.
yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Compose a letter in opposition of the variance request as currently written, leaving it open that a revision would absolutely, we would want to, participate in that and help. So a motion to compose a letter in opposition of the current revision before the Massachusetts Architectural Board for the Waldorf School.
I second it.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Lisa Judelson?
Yes, I agree.
Alexander Beaudry?
Yes.
Joseph Sonier, I agree. Shonda DeSanti?
Yes.
Julia Wright?
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso?
Yes.
Ian Cullen appears still absent.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Also vote yes.
Thank you. I saw you, but I didn't see the name. Gotcha. Okay. And Dom Jellison?
I agree.
And let me take the scroll button this time. I don't see Joanne. I do see an iPhone if she's there. Okay, that's that motion passes. I will draft and send a letter. Does someone have the email for the Architectural Board?
Do you have William's email, Ian? I can't hear you. I have it somewhere as well, but if Ian has it right there.
Yeah, I have it. They have a couple of on their website. Do you want me to send it to you, Meg or Lisa? And
accessibility@sandwichmass.org, please.
Okay. That will be perfect, and then I can get it out.
And then I just want to say, as you guys are going forward to building stuff, so we don't run into this issue again, your outdoor space and whatnot, and you want to have, we are an advisory board to help you make sure that your spaces are accessible in your planning part. So if you have plans coming up, it's better to be proactive into presenting that to us so that we can support you and making things accessible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We've done quite a lot of building and really worked hard to make everything accessible so far. It really is important to us.
We definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that it?
I think so. I think that matter is closed for now, and yeah, we'll come back if things have changed with your variance.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ian, are you heading off as well?
I'm not in any hurry. I can
Okay.
for a little while if you want me to ask me any questions or give me any guidance. Is all always acceptable. Helpful.
Sure. We're happy to have you on here. I was hoping you'd stay. So just being the ADA coordinator, we do look forward to having a very open access, because we look to you for guidance, just like we did to Brendan. So have you, I'm not sure, was there any like training or explanation or things around being the ADA coordinator for you?
Well, I've been the building inspector for 3 years here, almost 3 years, and I've worked with Brendan very closely, and so I've learned through him osmosis, and I've been involved in things like the schools and the playgrounds and accessibility, and of course we, as inspectors, were well versed in 521 CMR requirements and things like that. I have looked into the as Meg mentioned, we currently have 3 inspectors now, and I was the only inspector for the last 2.5-3 months, so it's been quite hectic. But I have been, I think the state websites give some guidance on the what's required by the ADA coordinator, so I have looked into some of them. I haven't had time to delve too deeply into them, but I do intend to do it. It's a really important part of this job, and I think everyone who knows Brendan realizes how passionate he was about it too. So he's definitely trained me very well.
Great. My understanding, well, my very brief experience talking with other towns about it is oftentimes the ADA coordinator is not the same person as the building inspector, and it's done that way as sort of checks and balances, where our town is unique, having both. And I think it's amazing to have a building inspector or commissioner that is passionate about ADA and accessibility, and can work beautifully. So I feel like it's I think sometimes in other towns it can be adversarial, trying to get the building inspector to be more passionate about accessibility, and whereas I'm glad to have a continuation of that, I guess, in our town. Thank you.
No problem. And I think just on that, there's we have had some other departments, not just the building department. There are other departments that always reach out and ask us for advice on accessibilities when they're starting new projects. We've had a couple of recently. The bandstand will be accessible, for example, and there's they're doing some stuff with recreation, and they've reached out early in the process to find out what's required, parking wise and things like that. So we've had a few other departments reach out, and recently we had another project that's just I'm pulling a blank on it right now at this hour of the evening, but they are aware of it, and the town is they do they're directed to be considerate and understanding about accessibility. So that's a good thing. It's a good cooperation with other departments and what the projects they are presenting and things like that. So
Ian, going forward, can a few of us meet with you to write out like a SOP, a standard operating procedure on how to do this so that we have it laid out going forward? Would you be willing?
Yeah, I think what I'll probably do is do a bit of background and find out exactly what the parameters are of the position. Also, I do want to talk to the Architectural Access Board. I as I said, talking to Brendan, I think this has happened a few times where we don't get notified, and that's not a good thing. I want to have a policy in place or a procedure in place where we're well aware of what's going on in town. As I said, the application came in through the building department, but it had just recently come to my desk, but the variance had already been applied for. So it'd be nice to get an early heads up on what's going on with those type of projects. So definitely.
It'd be better with everybody on a better time frame, and then also, we have our act together and it flows more smoothly and people are not left hanging or questioning. I think it would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anybody else that would like to go with me to meet with Ian at some point?
Yeah, I'll go with you, Meg.
Thanks, Dom. anybody else can come as well. I do have that information. Brendan sent it to me. One of the other things, just while you're researching that, is the grievance there's supposed to be a process for a grievance. That's from 2016. That it's dated 2016 and still has the address of the Jan Sebastian building. So the MOD can help you with a lot of this, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, they've been helpful. There's a lot of that's where I get a lot of the resources to they provide emails and websites and things like that. So yeah, definitely.
There's also a group of building commissioners that meet. The MOD has a meeting with the group of building commissioners, so that would at least give you some resources. They meet regularly, and then the Brendan used to go to the quarterly teas. I don't know if you go to them, but that has all the updates, the current updates that are going on. So I'm happy to talk more offline about this, but I'll give you what I know, and of course Brendan will as well. But we'll this month and next month are probably pretty busy, but hopefully we can coordinate a meeting. Sometime maybe this summer.
Yeah, we're lucky. We just hired a new inspector, so hopefully in the next month my time will get back to, instead of working 10-12 hour days and Saturdays and Sundays, I'll be back to normal 40 good municipality hours. But,
if you want to reach out to that accessibility email, and you have my email, and we can get you Dom's email. If you want to reach out to us when you have that time, we'll be happy to meet with you.
Yeah, I'll get you the information for the emails for the Architectural Access Board. Probably, if not tomorrow, early next week. I'm away for a few days and I'm leaving early tomorrow. I'll be back on Tuesday, so at the latest Tuesday.
You deserve it. Have fun.
Thank you. Up to New York for a few days to see what's going on up there. So it'll be nice.
Thank you,
Enjoy your
Ian.
time. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Thank you, everybody, and I hope that we can have a really good working relationship and continue the good work that the Commission and Brendan has carried on before this.
Excellent.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Happy 4th.
Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. So, can I have a time check?
It is 6:14.
Okay. So maybe we quickly go through the approval of minutes and then the voting for the positions. And I think is that all that's on our agenda?
We had a section reserved for updates. We can push that to the next month, I think.
Yes. Meg, is that okay with you? I think you had some updates.
That's all right. I can wait. I'm waiting for more information anyway, so it works out.
Great. So I'll make a motion to approve the June minutes.
I'll second. We'll do a roll call for the June minutes. Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Alexander Beaudry,
Yes.
Joseph Saunier, I vote yes. Shonda DeSanti,
Yes.
Julia Wright,
Yes.
Billy Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Tom Jellison.
Yes.
And let's check again on Joanne. I don't see her. I haven't heard her.
She texted me she can't come or something.
Oh, thank you. That is passed unanimously. I will send that out.
All right. And then, thank you, Joe. And then we need to vote on all the positions again for the next year.
Believe so. The 3, chair, vice chair, and secretary.
Okay. Does someone, so we'll vote on chairperson first.
Can you just, but if those positions
all
aren't
three?
changing, can we just do all 3?
Yes.
Does anybody have any objection to continuing their position?
No. I did make a request that people assist with running some of the meetings. If anyone wants to volunteer for the August meeting.
I will. It's Kelly. I'll volunteer.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we continue with the current slate of officers for the Commission on Disability.
Well, second.
All right. We'll do a roll call vote for just to restate it. All current officer positions remaining the same. Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Alexander Beaudry,
Yes.
Joseph Sinance, myself, yes. Shonda DeSanti. She was getting bumped on and off. So I'll just put a note for now and we'll come back to her. Julia Wright,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
and Shonda. I don't see anyone new on here.
Yes, sorry. My phone keeps getting out and into the meeting again. I don't know why.
Thanks,
Yes,
Shonda.
you're up to iPhone 74 on the Zoom listing.
Yeah, I've been stuck in traffic this whole time and it's been horrendous.
Sorry. All right. And then I'll make a motion to defer our last agenda item member updates until our August meeting.
Yes.
Do we just want to talk about schedule?
Yes, please.
So not many people responded, so we could probably just talk about it now.
Okay.
So we'll, do you remember what the date was? I have to go find it. I'm still in my car.
Date for what?
What the options were?
What
Meg?
was the day? Yeah.
It was Monday. I think we talked about Monday or
You
Tuesday.
said Monday or Wednesday, 5 to 6:30 on Wednesday, or Monday, 4 to 5:30 or 5 to 6:30, I think, or other.
Thank
Which
you.
was what my answer was, which was why I didn't respond. So I'm sorry.
No, you did respond though.
I
It was
did?
the other response. Yes,
Yes.
you were like, I don't know my schedule yet. And I was like,
So
all right.
okay, so I did respond. So I'm glad I didn't respond twice because I almost responded again the other day and then was like, I don't know.
I think
So
the thought was that we would like to have the meeting scheduled for an hour and a half just because we have been going over, and that way people have expectations for scheduling. It's hard to fit it all into an hour for sure. And then the thought of trying to make it earlier was so that if we have people from the town, that it's easier to get people to join if it's a little bit earlier. But Wednesdays are not an option for me to be earlier. I came screaming in the driveway today just for 5 o'clock. So, so if the 5 to 6:30 on Wednesday.
Sorry.
Or doing it earlier on a different day.
So I think Monday, right? It's a half an hour later on Wednesdays. So I guess we could say, what was the time, Alex? For Monday?
I believe it was like the
Either
same.
4:30 or 5, right? But for an hour and a half?
Yes.
Or 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think it was 4:30 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Does someone want to make that motion and see what happens? Because I can't, otherwise I would. I would just make a motion to do that time and then see what happens. And then we can have discussion and people can say that doesn't work, then we can amend the motion.
So I'll make a
We just
motion that
need
we
to get
move the meeting to Mondays at 4:30, from 4:30 to 6. Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
I second
Is there a
it.
second?
Kelly,
Discussion.
second.
Okay, this is Alex. So my problem with Mondays is I'm going to be teaching a kid, a blind student, on one of the islands, and I'm going to be going every other Monday. That is going to be my 1 late week, 2 late weeks a month. So I'm going to be with a kiddo out there. So Mondays are, unless I can make it so that the schedule is that it's on the off, like that it's not on a week that I'm on one of the islands. So Monday is hard for me, but if it works for everyone else, I can try to make it work.
What time will you be on the boat coming back? Because the boat has Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, this is all ideal, right? I think I think it's like a 3:30, 3:45 boat. So it's doable for me. Like I will be and how many times will it be a week that we're on? Like it, it, it doesn't always conflict. So it's not, but that's why I couldn't commit to the Monday. If it works for everyone else better, then I think we should do it.
So I'm kind of the same boat, Alex, is that right now with that school not being in, it would be fine doing it on Mondays. But when school is in, my obligations with my son and what his needs are really heavy on Monday afternoons and evenings.
It's Kelly. I can be really flexible. So what works for you guys?
Yes, it's Janine, and I can also be flexible.
Does anybody have a problem with doing an hour and a half on Wednesdays?
Was there a problem with Tuesdays?
I don't think it was listed as an option.
What
I
did you
don't
say,
know
Meg?
what. Let me.
Because Tuesday
I
was the
don't
other
think.
day. I have no commitments on Tuesday. I do. I don't think Friday's a good option, and I'm committed on Wednesday and Thursday. But Monday and Tuesday, I have nothing.
Yeah, Tuesday, it's similar to Alex. It's one time a month or whatever. So I can do the Tuesday and I'll just have to get on my phone, which is fine. We would do it. What was the time?
Does anybody have an issue with Tuesdays from 4:30 to 6?
Yes, again, so it's one of those things. I am not a great person to make the plan around because I am the mother of also 4 children. So it gets really wild. Monday or Wednesday would definitely be better than a Tuesday for me. Does the Monday work for everyone? Is it just Shonda and I that Monday doesn't work for?
Chocolate panda.
Shonda, sorry.
For me, I
That's
just
how
need
I remember.
My
Right.
apologies.
It's okay.
Now I'm gonna think of a panda every time, which I love pandas. So
Everyone does.
Chocolate panda.
Her next to her name on my phone is a panda and a piece of chocolate, so I don't forget.
Who was
Great
Joe? Were
device.
you? Joe, did you have something?
I just said for me, I just need to know so I can plan it.
I mean, we can keep it on Wednesdays from 5 to 6:30 if that is better. If that's better
Is
than
that
Monday.
better for everyone? Does anybody have the an objection to doing it the same day, just having it go longer?
That works for me.
That works for me.
So, motion to vote to extend the meeting to an hour and a half and retain the first Wednesday of the month.
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. And we'll go through Lisa Juleson,
Yes.
Alexander Beaudry,
yes.
Joseph Saunier, yes. Shonda DeSanti,
Yes.
Julia Wright,
Yes.
Lily Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Tom Jellison.
Yes.
It passes unanimously, and I forever have a panda stuck in my head when I see Shonda now.
But it's Chanda. Chanda like panda.
Yep. Just put the panda emoji next to her name.
You have no idea how close I almost just said panda when I called her name.
Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your help. And Meg, I am very grateful for your knowledge about the variance process and for speaking up with our guests. So I appreciate you taking the lead on that.
And I'll work with Ian so that I think it's important for us all to understand what requires for a variance if we're going to be asked for that. And, Ian knows that there are projects that are happening and the town is reaching out, but they, it is our purpose to be part of that. So I really look forward to working with Ian, to make a process for us so that those projects that he's mentioned not just go across our desk, but come across our meeting. Because I think, you know, like with this example, you know, it costs more to do it later, and being proactive that rather than reactive is usually better for everyone. And I would love if this town starts to, you know, be able to think about accessibility during the process in the planning stages instead of at the end, which I think is totally doable.
I think that wheel turns slowly, but I see it starting to happen. I do think, and by virtue of getting newer buildings, it happened just because of the updating of things. But I do think people are starting to ask that question a little bit in their mind. Not everyone, but I'm hopeful it's starting.
Agreed.
All right, thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great 4th of July.
Somebody has the motion to close the meeting.
I motion to close the meeting.
Second. And I believe this one does not require the
Correct.
long vote. So anyone opposed? Nope. All right. Have a good night. Have a great holiday weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.